As many of you know, I am a big Mega Man fan. I play quite a few different gacha games, so when I heard about Mega Man X Dive, I figured I had to get it and see what's up. So far I've been really enjoying the game. It plays like Mega Man X, but because of the gacha aspect of the game, you can play as characters from various different Mega Man games, such as Mega Man Walnut from Mega Man Legends, Mega Man EXE from Battle Network, as well as X from the X series, and many more. In this video, I'll be going over a few tips and tricks for those of you starting out, so that hopefully you can get a better start than I did. Anyway, let's get started. What's up everyone, I'm TheKennyDubz. I'm here with a few tips that might help out people starting out in Mega Man X Dive. First thing I want to go over is raising your total power. Each stage has a recommended power, and if your total power is a bit lower than the recommended from the stage, you'll likely struggle a bit. There are various ways to increase it by upgrading your weapons, armor, units, etc. However, the fastest and probably the easiest way to do so is by upgrading your skills. Once you hit level 17, you'll gain access to a new option in the lab manual. You got a tutorial to take you there once it's unlocked, so you'll know exactly where it is. When you get to that screen, you'll see some locked skills numbers associated with them. On the top left of the screen, you'll see a total level along with some other stats. The total level is what you're going to be raising in this menu, as raising that unlocks new skills for you to upgrade, thus allowing you to further increase your total power. Utilizing this menu will allow you to massively raise your overall power, making the stage easier, and as a byproduct, you will get access to another skill to use during stages. In order to upgrade these skills, you need something called self-learning programs. The way I've been getting these is by purchasing them from the shop with your elemental metals. You get 1500 per every 20 elemental metals you spend, so it's not too bad to buy a few of these to vastly raise your power early on. I've been buying about 100 metals worth, or 7500 learning programs a day for the first few days of playing. Now the reason I do that is because it clears the spend 100 metal mission and you get the self-learning programs in the process. You don't have to go too crazy with it, but I was able to reach 61k power pretty quickly. I picked this up from various members of the community via streaming and Reddit, so I don't know who came up with it, but I figured it's something that I would also share with you. Second thing I want to talk about is not neglecting the lab. The lab is a nice source of extra materials for unlocking characters and weapons or increasing their star ranking. However, along with some materials being tied to your level, you'll also need to have a specific lab level. Once you reach level 5, you'll be taken to the lab for a tutorial and forced to make a beta saber. After that, you can go back and start forging more memories in the lab. I recommend at least getting the second slot in the lab, which is about 50,000 zenny. The third slot, which I've also unlocked, costs about 500 elemental metals. You don't really need the third slot, but increases your production, allows you to make more character and weapon memories. It's also worth noting that if you don't have enough materials to begin researching an item, you can click on the item, click on the method to obtain. You'll be taken to a screen where you can see where the materials can be obtained. The third thing I want to cover is don't neglect your cards. Cards are somewhat overlooked aspect of the game from what I've noticed so far, but some of them can provide nice buffs either for generic or character specific. As time goes on and you continue to play the game, you'll have access to better cards, so be sure to equip the units when doing stages and PvP. Also, as a note, they will also affect your overall power as well, so it's definitely worth making use of the card. The fourth thing I want to cover is changing the filter and sort option in your weapon and character screens. For a little while I was confused because I had received some weapon memories for logging in, but I couldn't find them in my weapon screen. The reason for this is because by default they only show what you own, so make sure you set it to all so you can see what you own, what you don't own, and what you have enough memories to assemble. I wasn't alone with this problem, and it was especially annoying because one of the login bonuses was for 2 A rank weapons, and until I changed this setting, I could not assemble them and make use of the 2 weapons. And last but not least, don't spend your metals for pulls yet. Now this one might depend on how impatient or impulsive you are, but as of right now, there are 2 banners, the server launch banner and the Farham banner. Server launch banner in particular has 3 S rank units, Black Zero, Cinnamon, and First Armor X. The reason I'm suggesting you don't pull just yet is because on your second day of logging in, you'll get a ticket that guarantees you a copy of one of the featured units I mentioned before. And on your 7th day of logging in, you'll get another one. So with that in mind, it's best to at least wait until day 2 in the off chance you get the unit that you wanted. But honestly, unless it's one of those units is your favorite, I wouldn't invest any metals in it just yet, or wait until day 7 until you get them off a ticket. It's also worth noting that there is a daily free pull period while on this banner running, so you could potentially get one of them off that, but I think the odds of that are really low. However, they are still possible. As always, when deciding to pull a unit, I always advise people with what I think would be best, but also with a disclaimer that if the unit is a favorite, then go for it. The most important thing that when you're playing games like this is having fun and using the units that you would like to use, regardless of if they're good or not. I also want to note that at the time of recording this video, there are 23 days left for the special login bonus, and after that, I don't think that we will have access to these tickets anymore. And with that, I think that covers a few things I hope to know when starting on Mega Man X Dive. Hopefully this video helped you out, and if it did, feel free to drop a comment, like or subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And I want to thank my supporters over on Patreon, where if you'd like to provide additional support, you can do so for as little as $1 a month, along with some additional benefits as well. Anyway, I'll be trying to put out more content regarding this game over at my live streams, or I could just upload maybe some PvP stuff and like some first impressions of upcoming units, since I'm really enjoying this game so far. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Later.